Looper here barks a lot, as we talked about in the other video. Now, he actually got a complaint, so we really want to work on the barking. Part of his barking after we're at the end of the session here is because he thinks that he is an authority position. And I think he thinks in his mind his job is to be in charge of security. So when somebody walks by the yard, he barks, hey, alert, violator, you go away, go away, go away, go away, and keeps barking until the person goes away. He also barks at the front door. We're going to recreate answering the door so I can show you how to claim the area around the door. So go ahead and follow me. So the first thing I do is I do not rush. A lot of us, we rush, and if we're rushing, that tells the dog we're uncomfortable. And so the dog is more reactive. So I'm going to have you stay right there. The dog, or maybe right here, and you back up with him in a minute. Now, I don't respond to the barking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse herd him. There we go. You go ahead and walk backwards if you could, and just stay right there. And I'm going to have you follow me at this point. So, I'm just doing this to get him to slow down so we can hear him a little bit. So, this house, we have doors, we can make these a little bit wider, or make this more of a choke point. So, normally this is too big, he goes around, it makes it harder to do it. So, we've also added chairs here to make it a little bit easier, because as I move away, it's easier for him to come in and then run around this room. So, no, keep it sideways, please. I take a step back and I pause. Step back, pause. When I get to the door, so I rush until he gets across this line. Once he's across this line, I don't care what he does. I know that barking we don't want, but that will subside once he sees that we're doing this job. Now, when I have your friends do it, I would have them knock and bark a lot. So it's a real test, it's easy. So now I'm going to break them answering the individual steps. If he comes forward, I stop what I'm doing, I rush towards him. Next step is this one. Now when I open it, I step to the side and I open it just an inch first. Then I step forward. I gotta be very sudden in my movements forward. Now what the Guardian was doing, I'm going to pantomime a little bit, and I thank you for coming inside. The Guardian was kind of going like in the stopping, and then stopping, and then stopping. So you want to be almost walking through the dog. The dog needs to think, if I'm still here when the human gets here, she is walking across my body. So I want the dog to flinch and want to move away. You're taking territory, but he thinks this is his job. So if we're too soft and slow in our movements and uncertain, he's like, she doesn't really want to do this job. She doesn't know what she's doing. I'm taking back over again. You have to be supremely confident. This is my house. And then, puff your chest out and be a little assertive. Now, because he has a tendency to nip when he's really excited, again, you might want to get a tennis racket. You can use that to brace and move in front of you. And the dog sees the tennis racket and wants to move away. So once the guest has come in, I'm going to close the door. Now, if I want to engage with the guest, I'm going to keep either my eyes or my torso facing the dog. So if I want to turn to embrace the person, I'm going to keep my eyes here. If I want to look at the dog, let's do that again. So if I'm going to embrace the person, I'm going to turn my chest, but my eyes are going to stay towards the dog. If I want to give a kiss or just turn, I'm going to turn like this and watch out of the corner of my eye. So at least my shoulders and hips are pointed, or my eyes. So now when I'm walking backwards, I take just a quarter of a second step in between, pause in between each step. If the dog sits or lies down, I can take a big step backward or multiple steps. And then if I want, I can give my guest a hug. Now, in this scenario, we have these doors closed, or at least cordoned off. I would suggest, again, we have another pair of chairs here and slightly inset or offset. And then once we practice this a couple times, the dog starts after a while, what you'll find is he's going to start stopping there. Now, if you pass him, then you stop and establish the line here. If he's already over here, you walk all the way back here, get in front of him, and then walk towards him, and always be moving forward. The main thing the Guardian was doing was going here and stopping. And then that just tells him, I don't know what to do, and he's going to try to go around you. So keep moving the whole time, and I move sideways and forward at the same time. Then eventually we're going to get rid of these chairs that aren't here now, but after we practice it a couple times, then we're going to get rid of these chairs, and then eventually we're going to move this like an inch more open each time until eventually they're completely open. Now, one last thing is because Loper likes to jump up, especially this is his favorite person right over here. So when we're having guests come over, I would have family or friends text or call, arrange it so that they're the ones doing it. Again, have him knock or ring the doorbell about every 30 seconds. Put him on a leash. And so this way, when a guest comes in, because he likes to jump up, you can just step on the leash just close enough to him so it prevents him from jumping up. And then again, the guest and the guardians, we do not want to pet him when he's overexcited. Sit. Sit. So tell him to sit, and what we were doing earlier, he was sitting, he was all whiny. So that's not a good time to pet the dog, it's the wrong energy. We want to wait until he's nice and calm and then reach down to pet him. If he starts wiggling, get excited, pull your arm back. So the consequence, we're not going to correct him, we're not going to yell at him, we're not going to tell him no. The consequence is I stop engaging with you. And after a while, what will happen is the doorbell will ring, and he's going to stop right here and say, "You going to go get that?" So this is how we can, we already played fetch, buddy. This is how we can claim the doorway and help the dog that likes to bark and thinks it's in a territorial or authoritative position in terms of doing this. To do this. Now, one last little thing I forgot before I summarize. Once you're doing this, once the door is completely open, the dog is not allowed to cross this threshold until your guest passes this threshold. So if you have a guest that comes in is afraid of dogs, they don't have to interact with the dog at all. Now, the rest of the time, the dog can go up to the door as much as it wants. It's only when somebody's at the door. So basically, make sure that you don't rush, because the guardian, I told her several times, and it's just natural instinct. You rush because you don't want your guests to hear the barking, and you want to be a good guest or a polite host. So this is basically how we can claim the area around the door and help the dog give up the perception that it is in a leadership position in terms of being the security guard, which will stop or greatly diminish the barking, nuisance barking outside, and the other stuff that we went over in the sessions, what's going to stop the demand barking. Right, buddy?
He pushed the ball out in the entry.
Yes, we'll get that for you in a minute.